Now that everything's dry, we need to start sanding. We're going to start off with this coarse sandpaper block that will knock down any high ridges, and then we're going to use the medium sanding block to ghost out all the edges. You can probably see here on camera how the sheetrock mud leaves an edge, and if you can see a line, texture is not going to cover up imperfections like that. You gotta have a nice smooth finish to still texture. So let me give you an idea. Now that's just one little area, but you see right here how I had the sheetrock mud kind of ghost out. There's not a definite line there. Now texture will cover that. Then after a little sanding and light remudding, this will dry in no time and I'll be able to go ahead and texture these walls today. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up this windowsill and paint everything white. It's going to get painted white right here because I'm going to be masking this over with plastic and tape so I don't texture the window. I also need to paint the trim that goes around the door right here. Paint it white. Got our first coat of white paint on the windows and on the trim. We've resanded our mud and we're just about ready to start texturing. Before we do, we need to mask anything that we don't want to get texture on, such as these valves and even the threads on here. You don't want to fill up with a bunch of mud. You want to keep those nice and clean, so we'll wrap that as well. And there we go, all wrapped up, ready for spray texture. Alright, I got the first coat on here, and I've actually put a second coat right along the front edge. And after lunch I'll be able to tape all the way down here, mask all of this window, and then I'll be able to texture. Another place I need to tape is over here on the casing. This only has one coat on it, so we need to get another coat on it now, let it dry, and then after lunch we can tape it up. Now I'm going to want a barrier here anyway. The door is gone, so I want to hang a large plastic sheet right here that's going to keep the texture inside this bathroom. So we're going to get another coat of paint on this, go to lunch, and we'll continue. We're getting closer and closer to texturing time. I've gone ahead and I've masked up this window so we don't get any texture on the frame or the glass. I'm about to take this light fixture down, and also along the frame here I've put 2 layers of tape, and then I'll drape a piece of plastic there, trapping myself in here with the hopper and the hose. But that's what I got to get ready next. So this is the back of my truck, and I've got a compressor and I got a regulator gauge, and it's pushed up to about 70 psi. Comes up here to my 100-foot reel, and I've got it stretched out and going in the house to my hopper. This is my hopper. It's gravity fed, so when I hook up the hose down here, it's just going to start blowing air out the tip. And then when I pull the trigger, it's going to allow product to fall down into here and be spattered out. This can regulate how much is falling, and the size of your tip at the end, you can regulate how much is coming out. This particular tip is what is called for orange peel. There's a larger tip for knockdown. And the mud that we put in this thing has got to be fresh without any chips, and we need to mix it up a lot thinner than it comes. So let's get this opened. So I've added water to this, and now I'm going to mix it. Be careful. Alright, I want to show you the consistency. I mean, it's got to be drippy and not really peak or anything like that. It's got to be real thin and to go in that hopper and then for it to gravity feed itself down into the airstream. So that's how we mix it up. So you can see when this thing's hooked up, it starts blowing air on the tip constantly. And when you pull the trigger, it allows product to fall down into here and then spatter down the wall. Okay, I'm going to balance this while I pour in my product. It's heavy, so hang on to it tight. Don't let it fall over, it will make a mess. Plug my air in. And once the air starts, you won't be able to hear me talk. And I'm going to change the angle of the camera to show you how this goes on. And this is what it looks like after the texture has been put on. It just scattered in random spatters. And now that I've got the light back on, I can see whether or not I've got good coverage, and I think I do. I think it turned out real well. So I've taken off all the plastic, and I've left the blue tape on the door because that trim is white. Well, the rest of this is going to be cream colored. And you can see I've already started doing painting here to this nice cream color that she picked out. So we'll get a coat of paint on this and we'll show you what it looks like in a little bit. So the painting continues, and I think it's going to turn out real nice. Nice cream colored. Everything trimmed in white. I've still kept my blue tape on my radiator and my door. This is only the first coat, and it's going to need another, so I want to protect everything. And of course, I'm also going to be doing the ceiling the same color. Now we have the whole thing painted. The ceiling, the walls, everything. We're going to let this dry, and we'll come back in a little bit and continue. And all this time, you all been wondering why I haven't started the floor. Well, it was because I had so much work on the walls. I had tile to tear out, and I had sheetrock to replace, faucets to put on, and then I had to texture it and then paint. So now that all that sloppy work is done, and I'm done dripping paint, and I'm done dripping mud and sawdust and sanding from sheetrock mud and just everything, now when I come back and these walls are dry, I'll be able to tear this out. And if there's touch up along the walls, then I'll do that at the end.